Everyone has a story to tell. It's my mission to tell it. Unscripted, unedited, we are on the record.
Hi everyone, I'm Serena Fazana. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of On the Record. You know, here at CP Communications and Red House Streaming, the home of my studio, we are so passionate about giving back to the community. And me personally, for all my followers, they know that I am also very passionate about building up women and building this community. So it's my pleasure to introduce today Jennifer Strasick, the Executive Director of Alpha House. And Jen, you and I go way back.
Oh my gosh, I know. We've known each other so long. So happy to be here.
No, thank you so much for being here. And in the second half of the show, we have another very special woman, Dottie Groover-Skipper, joining us. But we have so much to talk about. Jennifer, all right, I met you in my traditional news days when I worked at a local television station.
Yes.
And just so amazed and inspired by everything you guys do at Alpha House. Why don't you share the mission of your nonprofit?
Sure. Alpha House's mission is to help pregnant women and parenting moms who have been human trafficked or abused in some way get back on their feet, break the cycle of child abuse, and have them be independent in our community.
And how long have you guys been around?
Alpha House started in 1979.
Wow.
So over 40 years.
And what is the story behind starting Alpha House?
You know, it's a really interesting story because the Deeb family is a very big family, and Marilyn Deeb, who her husband, the late Roy Deeb, founded Alpha, and she was working at a hotline with her daughter, and they got a call about a young lady that had several abortions and just didn't want to do it anymore, and she was calling from a payphone. So they were so intrigued by her story and wanted to help her that they left the hotline and they went and picked her up. And then
They actually left the hotline and went to go pick her up.
Yes, and Marilyn was working at the hotline with her daughter, Marianne, and Marianne was graduating from high school that night. So they just paused and they went and picked up this young lady, and then they sent this lady from church to church, to friend, and then really from working at the hotline, they realized that this is a need in our community and we really need to have someplace safe for these young ladies to go. And Roy took people to lunch because that was his thing. If Roy took you to lunch, that means he was going to ask you for money. So be prepared, and ended up building Alpha House.
You know, and we have to stop and think for a minute. Imagine, high school graduation is so important, right? You can sit there and plan it for months and months and months. For this mother and daughter to actually be so selfless.
Yes.
Right? And give up that, you know, who knows if she went to did she end up going to the ceremony or out to the fancy dinner afterwards?
She was late. She was at the very end of it, but
it shows so much about their character.
It absolutely does. They're an amazing family in the community, and Alpha House wouldn't be what it is today if they didn't accept that call.
But you know what, Jen, let me take your hands because you're amazing too. And so I know this can be difficult, but your own personal story is so inspiring, how you got involved.
Yeah.
Would you share it with us?
Sure. I'll try to without being emotional.
You can be emotional because we're all here for you.
Yeah, so, you know, when I was a teenager, my mom lived with my stepdad, and there was a lot of abuse from my stepdad, and my mom really failed to protect me. So I was so tired of just living there, and so I would go out and stay out as long as I could stay out so that, you know, he would be asleep and that I wouldn't experience that abuse. And in doing that, I ended up hanging out with an older crowd of guys, girls, and at the time, I didn't know I was being groomed to be trafficked.
Oh my gosh.
I was, you know, 15 years old. And somebody was showing me what I interpreted as healthy attention because it was so bad at home, you know. And so I ended up pregnant by this trafficker, and I didn't know I was pregnant till I was 8 months pregnant.
Bless your heart. Okay, so for people watching saying, how could she not know that she was pregnant? I mean, I could see how that could happen, especially when you're that young.
Yeah, I didn't have any education about what to look for. I was carrying a boy, so he was mainly like in my back, so really my stomach was not hardly big at all. And nobody paid attention to me at home. So I woke up one day and yelled out to my mom and said, something's wrong. And lo and behold, I had a baby a month later. So I really tried to keep him. It was a boy. He weighed 8 pounds, 9 ounces. And I brought him back home, and then the abuse continued with my stepfather. So not only was he abusing me physically before, he decided he was going to move to sexually abusing me.
Oh my gosh, Jen.
So even trying to take care of my little boy, I remember decorating my room. At this point, I'm only 16. I would come home and he would get mad at me because I wouldn't
Be there for him.
be there for his advances, and I was declining him, and he would destroy my whole room. So I'd have all this stuff for the baby, and I'd have to reset every time. And so then I realized I can't stay here any longer. And I honestly had no help from nobody. Not a soul helped me with that boy. I would walk around Mirror Lake. I tried to get on public assistance, and they wouldn't help me because I was too young, and they went and took my mom's income. And so I had to face the hardest choice of my life to give my son up for adoption. So I found a family here through the hospital, and literally when I gave my son up for adoption, I changed my mind the next day, but it was too late. So.
And that was how many years ago?
That was in 1989. So it's been a while, but I will tell you that the trauma from it, I live with it every day. I lost a lot of my memory. I don't even remember much past age 16 to my early 20s. There are people that have come up to me that knew me back then in St. Pete that I have no idea who they are.
That is a symptom, PTSD.
Right.
That you lose your memory. You even lose happy memories because they're too painful
Yes.
to revisit. Have you had a chance to find your son?
I have. I found him when he was 19 years old. And, we don't have a constant relationship, but we are in touch with each other.
And the fact that, again, as you said, you tried to connect with him, or, you changed your mind a day later, but it was too late. But your personal experiences is what led you, your personal experience is what led you to Alpha House.
Yeah, absolutely. So I said to myself, I need to break this cycle of life. I had to get away from my stepdad no matter what, because that abuse was continuing. So I moved to Buffalo. I stayed with an aunt that is disabled, and she took me in. I worked really hard, and I got my associates in human services, and then I moved to my bachelor's in social work. Then I moved to my master's in social work, and now I'm in school to be a doctor in social work. And I did it all because I didn't want to meet my son one day and him see a deadbeat mom, or it wasn't, for nothing. So if I was going to give him up for adoption by, not by my choice, I wanted him to be proud of who I was. And also I wanted to give back to the community. And these are the girls that are with Alpha House, and I want to be there for them.
Jennifer, I cannot even tell you how amazing you are, and how I am so inspired by listening to your story again, to do all of that. And the girls at Alpha House are so fortunate to have an executive director with such passion How many girls are there right now?
We are almost full. We've got 15 girls and 14 babies.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So let's go to a break right now, and I want to bring in our special guest, and I think we all need to take a breath too after hearing your story. You're such a strong woman, and we are so proud to be able to share your story. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be right back.
You use maps for travel, but did you know there's mapping for your skin? It's called Visia Skin Analysis.
Above average, that's pretty good.
Here's why I used it at South Tampa Dermatology. It scans your skin for sun damage and wrinkles. You can see how your skin compares with others in your age group. Why is this important?
So here's what we'll do.
It can target a treatment program to meet your needs and save your skin over time. Another reason why I rely on the dream team at South Tampa Dermatology.
Label Swap is a retail store that you can bring in the items you don't want anymore. We will buy them for either a cash offer or store credit, and you can also shop the items as well. We carry anything from H&M, Lululemon, up to your luxury items like Gucci and Louis Vuitton. There's nothing really around like it here in the market. It is a fun, personalized experience.
Hi, everybody. Thank you and welcome back. I'm here with Jennifer Stracek, who is the Executive Director of the Alpha House. And joining us for the second half of the show, Dottie Gruber-Skipper. Dottie, you're used to being on this set in the studio, aren't you? You've been on the show several times.
Thank you for the invitation, Serena.
No, absolutely. Yes. Thank you for being here. And you know, you were in the studio as Jennifer was sharing her story. But first, why don't you share what you do?
Yes, I've been involved in the anti-trafficking arena for over 40 years, 4 decades. I hate to say that, but it's so true. And I got into this arena helping survivors and training other people on this issue many, many years ago when I was teaching a self-esteem class in the most marginalized neighborhoods of Tampa Bay. And a 13-year-old girl was in my class, very angry. She brought her 4-year-old sister with her to the next class, and something wasn't right. I just knew it, and there was some investigation that was done, and the 13-year-old and the 4-year-old lived with their grandmother, who was selling both of them on the street every night in exchange for drugs. And to make it even more horrific, the 4-year-old had a sexually transmitted disease.
The 4-year-old?
The 4-year-old. And that was my introduction. There was no label of human trafficking back then. I just knew it was evil. And God just really plucked a string in my heart that day to leave my corporate job and to be in this arena. And it chose me. I didn't choose it, but I've been very blessed to be. I've met some incredibly strong women like you, Jessica. You are Jennifer. I'm sorry,
That's
Jennifer.
Okay, Jay.
You are amazing. So courageous and brave and resilient.
Yeah.
Just incredible.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You know, Dottie, I saw, and I, of course, 100% agree. So you were in the studio, actually, listening to, we actually had Dottie on the set, and we just did a 2-shot with Jennifer and I. I always try to share, you know, behind-the-scenes information as well. And I kept on seeing you shake your head. So what were you thinking as Jennifer was sharing her story with us?
Well, first, what I just told you, what bold, resilient woman you are, Jennifer. And I'm thinking, in all of my years of being involved in this arena, it's more than stranger danger that we have to teach our children and to educate on, because it's typically not a stranger who comes and lures someone into a trafficking situation. It is a trusted family friend or a family member. And as 40 plus years ago, it was the grandmother. So I was just thinking to myself all the things that are really, really true that we need to educate out there, our young people, how to stand up to this kind of monstrous activity.
Absolutely. And I was just thinking about, you know, you sharing with the 14-year-old, and I mean, I was 15. And back
A baby.
then, yeah,
Yes.
nobody
Oh,
knew,
that's right.
what to look for. Or,
That's right.
And I, of course, didn't know back then. I mean, I
Right.
know now, but yeah.
Yeah.
How do you, so Dottie, and then I'll have Jen, you answer another question. Dottie, how important is it to have places like Alpha House in the community?
Incredibly important. In fact, I just realized that Alpha House is the only house of its kind in the entire state of Florida, where women or young girls who are pregnant can actually go and have the baby or come there with little ones and stay for a period of time. There is, to my knowledge, there is no other place like that in the state of Florida, and the need is huge, huge.
It gives me, I mean, just thinking about it, honestly, I have like goosebumps all over, right? So Jen, you were talking about, at this point, you think there's 15 women, right? Or 15 women, 14 babies.
Yes.
So how can girls, young ladies, get into the Alpha House? And I'm sure there's a waiting list.
There's a waiting list right now. So we serve foster care youth and adults. So the foster care youth come from foster care agencies, and because they know we're the only ones in the state of Florida that allow them to stay as long as they do. So they refer the girls to us because they go into dependency care because they're removed from a caretaker that was abusive to them, human trafficked them. And then the adults are honestly just called adults. They're just the same children that are just adults now and have suffered the same trauma as teens. And then they have nowhere else to call except for Alpha House. The adults can stay with us 18 to 24 months after the baby's born. The minors can stay with us up to 4 years.
Wow, that's incredible.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So have you had people stay that long?
We have, yeah. We've had foster care that have stayed that long. It's really important because they're so full of trauma in their life, and then they're parenting. So there's so much to intervene and to give them so many tools, and you need time to do that so that they're able to, be successful in the community.
And they can keep their baby.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been with Alpha House for 16 years, and we've only had one successful adoption. But everybody else plans to keep their child.
So Jen, let me ask you, and I know this is, oh my gosh, I mean, I know reliving the memories and the trauma, and I don't mean to do that. But while I can imagine though, as you're working there and you're helping all of these moms stay with their child, does that just inspire you to work harder and harder? But I'm sure there are times of darkness and sorrow.
Sometimes it hits me in waves, it's a loss, and it's almost harder than, if somebody passed away because they're still living. And when I reunited with my son, I thought that was going to be it. And I had made him a card every year, and I did voiceover messages to him on cassette tapes back then. But when I met him, it became a much different loss than the original one, because then I realized what I had missed, and that somebody else was able to care for him, and he called somebody else mom. So yes, it does happen in waves, but for the most part, it motivates me to help them and to make sure that they have the choice, whatever that choice is.
Dottie, weigh in on that. I mean, you're a mother yourself.
Yes, between my husband and myself, we have 7 children.
Oh, wow.
3 are biologically mine. But I was just sitting here again thinking how strong you are. You could have chosen not to have that little boy. You could have either given him, terminated, his life, and you chose not to do that. And I think that takes so much courage and so much love for your little one.
Yeah.
So I commend you on
Thank
that.
you.
Absolutely.
He was loved. He was
Yes.
loved. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And did you meet his adoptive parents?
Yeah, it's really a fascinating story. I'm actually pretty close with his adoptive mom. She reached out to me probably about 6 years ago because her best friend adopted a child and that needed help from Alpha House. So that young lady ended up living at Alpha House for quite some time.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That is incredible. Can you leave work at home though? Can you ever leave?
Oh, no, no. No, there's no such thing as not being connected to Alpha. You know, it's part of me. I love it. I love the mission. I love what I do. And that's just the way life is for me.
How is Alpha House, and they're so lucky to have you. I mean,
Yes.
you know, of course, no one should have gone through what you went through, but sadly, sometimes it's those experiences that other people need, you know, to survive and get through the most darkest of times.
Right.
So you are a light, and you're such a blessing.
And look at her now.
I know.
mean, she is providing this light for so many other girls and women who need what you needed at the time.
Right.
And now you're placed in a position where you can give it to them. That is so incredibly beautiful.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
Yes.
It's just the amazing workings of the world,
That's
you
right.
know? Jen, how does Alpha House, though, support? Is it through financial donations? Do you guys get grants, or how does that work?
Yeah, we get grants. We have federal funding for human trafficking victims. We get reimbursed from foster care that are there as well. And we have a lot of private donors that really support Alpha House, have been a saving grace for us.
Well, speaking of the grants, too, so Dottie, human trafficking, right? Florida is third in the nation.
We're third in the nation, absolutely.
Third in the nation. So do we, on the grant side, is the government helpful with significant grants?
They could be more significant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. You know, they do come through at times, but there's never enough funding for the
Correct.
huge needs that are out there. Human trafficking is so multifaceted. Even being in it for 40 years, the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. And there's just never enough resources and funding. So they could step it up
They could
a
step
little
it
bit
up a
more.
little bit. Well, we did here at CP and Red House on the network, we did 2 one-hour specials on human trafficking, and Dottie sat on one of those panels. Do you feel that the laws in Florida, though, I do feel like we do lead the nation on some of the laws.
Yes, and I've been very blessed to have been a part of, you know, helping some of those laws and policies change. We are a lot stronger, our laws are, than we were 8 years ago. But we still have a long way to go. I know I was a little disappointed this past legislative session that just ended last week that a couple of bills that we were hoping would come through did not pass, which we were surprised, and it would help women. There's a gap in the expunction law, so we were hoping that this legislation would close that gap, so that would take away a barrier that many women have who are coming out of a trafficking situation with felony records due to their trafficker making them perform
Commit crimes. Right.
And that didn't pass, but we do. Florida is leading the nation, I think, with some strong laws, but we need some stronger legislation that we've been working on.
We definitely need stronger laws to prosecute as well.
Absolutely.
There's definitely a gap in having enough evidence to prosecute traffickers.
Well, I would encourage people to watch the specials if they can, and because so many people are shocked at the numbers, and you, as Dottie, you mentioned earlier, you know, it's not really the stranger danger.
No.
And Jennifer's an example of that. We talked about the grants, but also the generous donations from, we live in such a wonderful, amazing community.
We absolutely do.
So you have a golf tournament coming up.
Yes.
Tell us about the golf tournament.
So our golf tournament is an annual golf tournament, and this year we changed the name because of a late board member and golf committee member and a dear supporter of Alpha, Lonnie Malentino. We changed the name to the Lonnie Malentino Memorial Golf Tournament to honor him, and it's May 6th at the Bardmore Country Club. And anybody can come and golf. All proceeds go to Alpha House, and it's a really great time.
And how do you find information? Do you go to alphahouse.org?
It's on our website, and it's on Facebook is the easiest way. If you go to Alpha House's Facebook page, all the information's there, and my contact information as well.
Well, I am also so honored. So this year, oh my gosh, on the record, we're breaking the news for the big Moonlight Gala.
Yes,
Jen, I'm so honored. So Jennifer reached out to me. It's November the 18th.
Yes.
And I am so flattered and honored, humbled to be your MC this year.
I am so excited. You have no idea. You have no idea. It's just going to be the best evening ever. Yeah, we're so happy to have you.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, believe me, I am so excited about being there, and stay tuned because we'll give you more details. I mean, it's several months away, so tickets haven't even gone on sale yet.
They have, but we're over 25% sold out. So I think it's going to be the hot ticket in town.
Yay!
I better get my ticket now.
I hope so. So Dottie and Jennifer, one of the things, so many things I love about the show. Show days are my absolute favorite days because I love sharing stories and introducing people to each other.
Yes.
So you guys did not know each other, right?
We didn't.
I knew about the Alpha House, and I had only experienced another Alpha House, so I am absolutely thrilled. And
I know. I think it's really great that we're meeting. I think we're going to do really well working together.
yes.
Absolutely. See, I love it. Bringing women together. As we close the show, what words of advice would you have, and we'll start with you, Dottie, for young women out there that might be struggling?
Oh gosh, there's so much advice, but I think to stay true to yourself, to find a trusted person that you can talk with, someone who is not judgmental and that can help you get the help that you need. So I think finding that one trusted individual, I think that would be the best advice I could give. In a short version. Great advice.
Yeah.
Right.
Jen, what about you?
I would say, to value yourself and to love yourself. We as women have a lot of self-esteem issues, and traffickers prey on that, So, and if you're in need of help and or you feel that you're not safe, to call Alpha House, and we'll be there to help you.
Gosh, thank you so much. Thank you both so much for being here and sharing your time. And thank you, everybody, for watching. We love taking suggestions for the community. So if you have a story idea, please email us at sfnteam@serenafazan.tv. We can also be found on multiple platforms. Please share this so we can get the message out. And now we're also on Roku, so you can download the channel for free. Thank you so much again for watching, and stay safe.